world has become loud with excuses. Everyone talks about what they will do, what they plan to build, what they are manifesting. But talk is currency for the idle. The people who make noise are the ones who have not learned the weight of silence. The man who truly builds understands that words drain the same energy required for execution. Every minute spent explaining could have been spent advancing. There is no glory in announcing intent. The only thing that commands respect is result. The man who works in silence is misunderstood at first, then feared later. Because while the rest are busy discussing potential, he is quietly stacking proof. You do not owe anyone an update on your progress. The need to speak before you finish comes from insecurity. You talk because you crave validation, because you want assurance that what you are doing matters. But those who truly trust their path do not seek witnesses. They let time become their spokesperson. Silence is not secrecy, it is strategy. The quiet man does not need to defend his pace, his methods, or his mission. He simply executes until completion silences doubt. There is no greater satisfaction than watching those who underestimated you choke on their own disbelief. Effort has lost meaning in a world addicted to optics. People want to be seen working rather than actually working. They want the image of grind without the grind itself. But performance without purpose collapses fast. The difference between an imitator and a conqueror is discipline. Real work begins when the cameras are off, when motivation is gone, when no one is watching. That is where identity is forged, in invisible hours filled with repetition and restraint. Talking feels productive, but it's theft. Every sentence about what you plan to do delays the act of doing it. Silence accelerates creation because it forces energy inward, not outward. You will not outtalk mediocrity. You will only outwork it. Success is not democratic. It rewards those willing to endure monotony. The work that changes your life is rarely glamorous. It's early mornings, quiet nights, and endless refinement. While others chase stimulation, the disciplined chase precision. Progress comes from subtraction, not addition. You remove distractions, remove noise, remove comfort. You learn to operate in focus so deep that the outside world becomes irrelevant. You stop announcing goals and start living them. You realize the real race is not against others, it's against wasted potential. The loud never win because they spend their energy convincing instead of creating. The reason most fail is not because they lack opportunity, but because they never shut down the noise long enough to hear their own thoughts. Distraction is the modern addiction. People want constant validation because silence exposes how little they've done. But creation is born in quiet. The greats disappeared for years before they emerged with mastery. You must be willing to vanish. You must be willing to bore yourself with repetition. The discipline to endure solitude separates those who rise from those who remain spectators. If you cannot tolerate silence, you cannot handle greatness. Work is not punishment, it is purification. Every rep, every draft, every repetition burns away the illusions that keep you small. The man who embraces the grind learns that suffering is information. It tells him what still controls him. Comfort is the trap disguised as reward. You think you earned rest when you haven't even earned respect. You think you're working hard because you're busy, but business is not progress. The man who truly works does not confuse motion with direction. He does not chase tasks, he chases transformation. That transformation is not loud, it is internal. There is something sacred about showing up when you don't feel like it. It is the point where desire ends and discipline begins. Anyone can work when it's convenient. Only the few work when it's inconvenient, uncelebrated, and unseen. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build a contract with yourself. That contract is worth more than any applause. The man who honors his word when nobody is watching becomes unstoppable. He doesn't need motivation because action itself sustains him. The world bends for those who keep moving without needing to be reminded. Stop discussing what you deserve. You deserve exactly what you have built. Results are not biased, they reflect effort. Every excuse you repeat is a confession that you've chosen distraction over direction. The more you explain your lack of progress, the more you reinforce it. People who talk about potential are the ones who never used it. Potential is the myth you hide behind when you are afraid of discipline. Execution doesn't care about feelings. It only rewards consistency. The man who stops talking about what he could be and starts becoming it breaks free from the herd permanently. You will lose people when you decide to focus. They will accuse you of being distant, arrogant, obsessed. Let them. They cannot comprehend the silence of purpose because they live addicted to noise. They think attention equals achievement. You know better. Obsession is not madness, it is clarity. You have seen what life looks like without direction, and you refuse to return there. They may laugh now, but when your silence turns into success, they will rewrite their narratives. Let them keep talking. Let them fill the air. You'll be too busy building a world they can only imagine. Noise is the enemy of direction. Every day you are surrounded by voices, opinions, distractions, comparisons, all fighting for your attention. The more you listen, the less you hear yourself. The world rewards noise because it thrives on confusion. When you are overwhelmed, you lose focus. When you lose focus, you lose power. The greatest advantage you can create in this age is silence. Silence reveals truth. It allows you to hear your instincts, to feel what actually matters, to see what others overlook. Noise creates illusions of progress, but silence exposes reality. The man who learns to mute the chaos outside can finally act with precision inside. Less noise means more action because your energy no longer leaks through meaningless thought. Most people confuse thinking with movement. They talk about goals, they overanalyze, they plan endlessly, but they never step forward. Noise disguises procrastination as productivity. Every conversation about what you will do delays what you could already be doing. Action, however small, cuts through confusion. The brain finds clarity not in endless planning but in momentum. When you act, you receive feedback. That feedback corrects your course faster than overthinking ever could. The man who acts learns while the man who talks imagines. One creates, the other circles the same idea until it dies from exhaustion. Less noise means you stop debating the perfect moment and start creating it. Clarity is not given. It is earned through movement. You cannot think your way into understanding. You must walk into it. Most people never reach clarity because they never leave the comfort of speculation. They drown in questions without realizing answers reveal themselves through experience. The mind aligns through rhythm, not chaos. Every consistent action becomes a form of meditation. When your energy is directed into work instead of noise, your perception sharpens. Suddenly, decisions that once felt impossible become obvious. The fog lifts because clarity is the natural byproduct of focus. Less noise, more action. That is the formula of every man who outpaces confusion. Friction comes from divided attention. When your energy is scattered between opinions, social distractions, and internal doubt, you move slower. Each thought pulls in a different direction, creating tension that halts progress. But when you reduce noise, you reduce internal resistance. You stop fighting yourself. Focused energy glides. Friction disappears because you no longer wrestle with indecision. You stop chasing validation and start chasing results. Simplicity becomes your strength. Complexity is the weapon of the distracted. The man who eliminates the unnecessary moves faster, hits harder, and lasts longer. Less noise creates efficiency. Every ounce of energy goes exactly where it needs to go, forward. There is a reason the greats were quiet. The men who changed the world were not loud about their intentions. They disappeared into their craft and let their results make the noise for them. They understood that constant talking dilutes execution. Every word about what you plan to do burns energy meant for doing. In silence, you conserve power. You redirect it toward creation. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how you produce. The silent man never needs to prove. He simply becomes undeniable. The world does not respect noise, it respects evidence. The loud announce. The quiet ascend. The modern obsession with attention has become a trap. Everyone wants to be visible before they are valuable. They want recognition without refinement. But the truth is, visibility without value collapses. The more you chase being seen, the less you see yourself. Clarity demands solitude. Action demands stillness before motion. You must learn to be comfortable with obscurity while you build. Those who rush to broadcast their progress lose momentum because external validation replaces internal fulfillment. The moment you stop needing to be noticed, you gain freedom to work without distraction. That is when results start to compound. Noise feeds ego. Action feeds evolution. The ego wants to be heard, to be seen, to be acknowledged. The evolving man wants results. Every time you choose to act instead of argue, you transcend ego. You stop living for perception and start living for mastery. True mastery has no audience. It requires isolation. The more you talk, the more you anchor yourself in external approval. The more you move, the more you align with truth. Movement cleanses the mind. It forces you to face what works and what doesn't. That self-correction is where clarity is born. The ego fears silence because silence reveals reality, but evolution demands it. Momentum simplifies life. When you act consistently, your brain stops obsessing over details. You no longer need to psych yourself up because habit takes over. The more you act, the less you think about acting. That is when friction fades. You become fluid, efficient, unstoppable. The man who relies on motivation will always lag behind the man who relies on rhythm. Momentum builds identity. It teaches you that success is not found in intensity, it's found in consistency. Less noise allows you to hear the rhythm of progress. You stop forcing results and start flowing toward them. Clarity is not a revelation, it is a reward. You do not find it through endless consumption. You earn it through execution. The moment you choose movement over noise, your environment begins to organize itself. Your thoughts align, your goals refine. You stop needing permission. You stop needing applause. The less you explain, the more you expand. You start trusting your instincts because they're no longer buried under the weight of noise. Your life becomes simpler, sharper, and more effective. The clarity you were searching for was waiting behind the clutter all along.